whatbugsme? Cicadas. But they're not really that big of a deal.
There is no stopping them, PM. We'll soon be here.
How dare you, insect? How dare you interrupt my ascendance?
Male cicadas sing to attract mates, and with populations numbering in the hundreds of thousands of cicadas per acre, more than 1 million in some places, Dr. Frank Hale, an entomologist with the University of Tennessee Agricultural Extension Service, says the noise will be hard to escape. Cicadas do not eat foliage or crops like locusts do. That's another plague pest for another day. They may feed on a minimal amount of twig sap, but they do not cause defoliation. They don't bite, they don't sting, and they don't poison fruit. But they are loud. People used to think that the W shape on their back foretold war. If that's true, this massive swarm that's coming in 2024 will be the least of our worries. The nymphs emerge in May when the soil, about 8 inches deep, is around 64 degrees Fahrenheit. After sunset, the nymphs climb up vertical surfaces to molt, and several hours later they work their way out of their old shell, spread their wings, and begin looking for love. That's where you see these weird bug shells hanging on trees, on the house, on your car, on everything. 4 or 5 days after emerging, the males start their cacophony of noise trying to find a mate. The female has an ovipositor, basically a tail-looking thing coming out of their rear, used to slit twigs and then deposit 20 to 30 eggs in that slit. Then she makes more slits and up until she lays about 600 eggs. These wounds in the twigs create shelter for other insects as well, and the twig usually dies. All of this happens in 4 to 5 weeks, and the adults die. In 6 to 7 weeks, the eggs hatch, and the nymphs drop to the ground to burrow deep, looking for roots to suck sap from for 13 to 17 years until they emerge again in May and start this whole process over again. In 2011, that was the last time that it was really bad. I mean, we see them every year a little bit, but 2011 was pretty wild. You had to be careful walking around with your mouth open. There were so many. Females can damage young trees when they slit the bark to make the furrows for their eggs. Dr. Hale recommends property owners take damage prevention measures in areas that have high cicada populations, have them in the past. He says, in young fruit tree plantings, delay pruning until after the cicada emergence so you can remove the damaged branches and establish a proper scaffolding of branches. If you prune before the eggs hatch, which is 5 weeks or less after the eggs are laid, burn the damaged twigs. That's what he said. My thumb's about as green as black, so I'll go with what he says. When it's feasible, Hale recommends covering small, valuable shrubs, trees, and ornamentals with cheesecloth or spun row cover for protection while cicadas are present. There is no treatment for cicadas. We just have to endure it. The only thing you can do is delay pruning the fruit trees until after emergence, then remove the damaged twigs after and burn them. You can also try covering them, but that's about it. That you're not going to stop them from flying around. You're not going to stop them from emerging. One paper I read said that even if you do treat, they're going to do their thing before they really kill over anyway, so you're just wasting your time. The two bigger issues after a cicada emergence are cicada killers and ants. Cicada killer wasps are huge. 1 inch to 1.5 inches long, and they'll fly near you, but the female's not going to sting you unless provoked. They will excavate a burrow, lay an egg in there, lay an egg on a paralyzed cicada, plop it in the hole, and the larva will feed on that carcass. They are not Asian hornets. They are not murder hornets. I know I'm going to get a call. Oh, we've got murder hornets. No, it's just cicada killers. It's no big deal. They may buzz you, but the only person I've ever talked to that has gotten stung by a cicada killer did it intentionally, and he said it really wasn't that bad. Doesn't mean I want to get stung by them, but there you go. The females aren't aggressive and don't have nest guarding instincts, kind of like honeybees or hornets or anything like that, where you get close to the nest and they get more agitated. You can usually walk around their nests and no big deal. The males, though, are especially territorial. They can get aggressive, but they're incapable of stinging. And they die after mating, so you know that's how it goes. That's a bug world thing, very female centric. There are many species that the male is only there to mate and die. Mate and die. What a life. The cicada killer burrows are dug at an angle into the soil. Can be a couple foot long and a foot deep. And they kick all the soil out to one side, so it's pretty obvious when you see it. You got this weird angled hole, and all the dirt's kicked out to one side. It's probably a cicada killer. This is where she stores the cicadas she caught that she laid her eggs on that will hatch in a couple days to eat the cicadas. Then in the fall, they will spin a silk case and overwinter in there with a full belly. And they'll emerge next summer to start this whole process over again. There will be cicada carcasses everywhere after an emergence, and that means food for other insects and wildlife. So when there is an abundance of food, the population of whatever eats that is gonna boom. Ants love to munch on cicadas. There's plenty of meat there to feed all the girls back home. There is no treatment that will do anything worthwhile for cicadas. So don't get duped by some paycheck getter that trying to scam you out of your hard-earned dollar. The best advice I can give you is to keep your mouth closed so you don't get a surprise snack. Although there are recipes for cooking cicadas if you're brave enough. It's just protein, a little bit of cicada kebab. You'll see it all over the news. And there'll be people that try it. Some people like it, some people don't. I've never tried it. I guess I'm going to have to this time. You want to bugs me? Cicadas. But I love the never mind. We're just going to have to deal with Cicada-geddon. Enjoy their love song.
You're killing me, Smalls.
So, I stand upon my desk to remind myself that we must constantly look at things in a different way.